Okay. All right, so let me redo that. So hello, good evening, and welcome. This is the public meeting for the reconstruction of 16th Avenue and 8th Avenue project. My name is Carter Choi. I am the acting principal civil engineer at the County of San Mateo Department of Public Works. I have with me Wensi Eng, senior civil engineer on the project, John Schabowski, associate engineer, and Alex Sang, associate civil engineer. Our Director of Public Works, Ann Stillman, and Deputy Director, Christoph Lisai, are also in attendance. Public Works is responsible for the design and management of this project. And so at this time, I'd like us to hold on to the questions until the end of the presentation. And if you have technical questions, feel free to put your questions into the chat. So I'd like to go over the meeting procedures. I will be providing a brief presentation on the proposed project, and there will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of the meeting. This meeting will be recorded and it will be posted on the project website. And so for those attending the meeting on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature under the reaction. And this can be found on the Zoom ribbon tab, I guess at the top of your screen. And so for those joining by phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. When your name is called, please unmute your microphone and you may begin speaking. You'll be given a limited time to speak depending on the number of speakers we have in attendance today. And we will aim to conclude this meeting at 7:30. Once again, the meeting is being recorded and posted to the project webpage. And I'd like to ask us to hold your questions until the end of the presentation, as some of your questions may be answered through the presentation. But certainly, if you have technical questions, please drop them into the chat. Okay, now on to the agenda. As you can see, we will be going over the North Fair Oaks area road improvement standards and priority list. We'll discuss the project description, paint markings, property owner survey, and identify any design issues and considerations. We'll go over the project funding and the proposed process and timeline, and conclude the meeting with questions, comments, and input. So I'd like to provide some background on the road improvement standards and how this process came to be. The process began in 2001 to develop the road improvement standards and priority list. This was done by property owner surveys on unimproved streets and through public meetings. And the priorities of these roads were based on drainage and road conditions. And then in 2002, the County Board of Supervisors formally adopted the road improvement standards and priority list. Okay, this map shows the roads in the North Fair Oaks area. Area 1 are the roads in green, and Area 2 are shown in blue. Both 16th and 18th Avenues reside in the Area 1, which is highlighted in green. So as you can see, the department has made a lot of progress on these roads in the North Fair Oaks area. We are currently on priority number 21 and number 22. And this project will reconstruct 16th Avenue from Fair Oaks Avenue to about 789 16th Avenue. The project limits for 8th Avenue is from Middlefield Road to Edison Way. After these two roads, we will have 5 remaining roads on the North Fair Oaks priority list to do. So this map is a color-coded version of our priority list, and it shows the existing roads that have been completed to date. The completed roads are shown in blue. The roads that voted for no improvements, shown in yellow, and the remaining roads to be surveyed are shown in green. And the area of the proposed road improvements, like 16th and 8th, are shown in black. So we will now discuss the road standards and options for 16th and 8th Avenue. The project includes the following 5 options that property owners will vote on. The first option is maintain as is. Second option, repair and resurface the existing pavement. Option 3, reconstruct road with 18 feet of pavement with 6-inch wide concrete bands. Option 4, reconstruct the road with 18 feet of pavement with 2-foot wide valley gutters. Option 5, reconstruct the road with 18 feet of pavement with 3-foot wide valley gutters. Now, based on the county board's policy, the improvements will be centered in the road right-of-way unless the road must be moved to avoid trees or major encroachments within the road right-of-way. And I will provide more detail later in the presentation about these 5 options. So this slide shows where the 5 options have currently been constructed. Options 1 through 5 are listed and identified by the respective colors. Majority of the North Fair Oaks community have chosen to go with options 3, 4, and 5. And they're basically, reconstruct the road with 18 feet of pavement with either a 6-inch wide concrete band or 2-foot wide valley gutter or 3-foot wide valley gutters. So again, this presentation will be posted to our project website for you to use as reference. So starting with 16th Avenue, we have option 1, which is maintain the road as is. So if this option is selected, there will be no work occurring on your street. It will remain as is. Option 2, repair and resurface the existing pavement. So if this option is selected, pavement repairs will be performed and an overlay treatment will be constructed. Option 3, reconstruct road with 18 feet of pavement with 6-inch wide concrete bands on the sides. So in order to get an idea of what this looks like, you'll first locate in the field survey markings, which are either spray paint or the red whiskers on the sides. Now, first is locate the inside spray paint marking, measure outward away from the roadway 6 inches, and that should be your outer edge of your concrete band. And options 4 and 5 for 16th Avenue both include construction of an 18-foot wide pavement. Option 4 will install 2-foot wide valley gutters. And so to locate and kind of get an idea of what this looks like, again, find the field survey markings, locate the inner spray paint marking, and measure 2 feet out from the roadway, and that will be option 4, which is the 2 feet wide valley gutter. Option 5 will be the 3 foot wide valley gutters with 18 feet of pavement. And the outside edge of the 3 foot wide valley gutters are shown at the outer spray limits, or in certain cases, they could be the red whisker markings that's in the road. That will be the outer edge of the 3 foot wide valley gutters. Okay, next slide. 8th Avenue, option 1. So this would be very similar to 16th Avenue. For option 1, maintain as is. If this option is selected, there will be no work occurring on your street. So the road will remain as is in its current condition. Option 2 for 8th Avenue, repair and resurface the existing pavement. If this option is selected, pavement repairs will be performed and an overlay treatment constructed. Option 3, reconstruct road with 18 feet of pavement with 6-inch wide concrete bands. So same thing as 16th Avenue. In order to visualize this in the street areas, first locate the field survey markings, find the inside spray paint marking, and then measure out away from the roadway 6 inches, and that will be the outer edge of your concrete band. For options 4 and 5 on 8th Avenue, it will be reconstruct with 18 feet of pavement. Option 4 will be a 2 foot wide valley gutter. And so similarly, find the field survey markings, locate the inner spray paint markings, measure 2 feet out from the roadway, and that's option 4. And then option 5 will be the 3 foot wide valley gutters, which are identified with the red whiskers, or in some cases, the spray paint markings. And that will be the width of your 18 feet wide with 3 foot valley gutters. So this survey was sent out only to homes located within the unincorporated area of San Mateo County, and only to property owners on 16th and 8th Avenue. Now, each vote is based on front footage of each parcel, and the foot frontage information was obtained from the county's assessor parcel maps. And so if a survey is not received from a property owner, it will be considered a maintain as is vote, meaning it will be option 1 if they are not received by the county. So if none of the options receives at least a 50% vote, the default option will go to option 3, a 6-inch concrete band. So I really stress the importance to speak with your neighbors, remind your neighbors to submit the property owner survey, and they are all due by Friday, January 26th. So please help spread the word. Speak to your neighbors about these 5 options, and then submit your surveys by Friday, January 26th. And so the next slide I'll go into, will be identifying some design issues and considerations for the project. Now, these impacts are to existing landscaping, shoulder area, trees, mailboxes, drainage boxes. Another issue is relocation of existing encroachments. And in some cases, we'll ask that these encroachments be relocated by the respective utility agency or by the homeowners. And the last design issue is roadway drainage, which I will cover in a bit in the next few slides. So this photo shows some of the existing landscape encroachment that may be affected by the project. And in situations like this, the design will be modified to limit the amount of property owner impacts while still trying to maintain the minimum 18 feet roadway width. Now, in this case, we will work with the homeowner and ask that the homeowner either relocate the landscape elements or have the landscaping be removed. So similar situation here in this photo. This is at 16th Avenue, approximately at 789 16th. And so similar issues, situation here, the landscape feature will need to be removed in order for the county to install a concrete valley gutter. Next slide shows a similar example. This one is on 8th Avenue. And here are some landscape encroachments where we would work with the homeowner to resolve. So we have some vegetation, hedges, and some wood blocks that's installed where the proposed valley gutter will be constructed. And other situations where we do need to install our improvements around existing utilities. So in this case, the obstruction is a sanitary sewer manhole. And since we cannot relocate this facility, the valley gutter will be designed to go around this sanitary sewer manhole. And for those that are wondering how the valley gutters will tie into the existing sidewalks at approximately 789 16th Avenue, this photo shows the concrete transition of the valley gutter as it approaches the existing sidewalks on either side of the street. So the concrete valley gutters will tie in to existing sidewalks. The next photo shows the existing chicanes, and these chicanes will be protected and the roadway improvements will be built around the existing chicanes. And if you are able to drive around to adjacent streets in your neighborhood, you can find similar examples where we have constructed the valley gutters around the chicanes. And in addition, we will also be looking to add green infrastructure, such as rock swale or French drain or other bioretention measures within the project. And by installing green infrastructure, it may limit parking restrictions at certain locations. Trees. So trees are a design and consideration issue as well. So in this case, the county will not be removing this tree, and we will be looking to protect this tree during construction. The county will work closely with an arborist for the best way to build our improvements around the tree. So one of the design solutions is to realign the valley gutter to go around the tree. So here's another example of design issues and considerations where we would move the mailbox, vegetation, and hedges Well, again, we will work with each homeowner so that they can relocate their mailboxes. If they cannot relocate the mailbox themselves, the county will temporarily move them out of the construction zone, and it will be the property owner's responsibility to reinstall their mailbox. And certainly, the property owner may relocate these themselves as well. Drainage considerations. So here are some existing drainage conditions that we have noticed on your road. The storm water generally flows along the roadway shoulder, and some areas are permeable. And we have also noticed localized ponding at low points within the shoulder areas. So how does the existing conditions tie into the 5 options? Option 1 and option 2 allows for the existing drainage patterns to remain. Option 3, the 6-inch concrete band, generally allows for existing drainage patterns to exist, including infiltration into permeable shoulders. Options 4 and 5 with concrete valley gutters will help facilitate the flow of water more efficiently. Essentially, the runoff will flow from the beginning of the block to the other end of the block with the installation of concrete valley gutters. For options 3 through 5, the design would need to include evaluation of subsurface storage and infiltration facilities. So we have used these on other roads in the North Fair Oaks area, and some of these can be found on Encina, Oak Drive, Placitas Avenue, and San Benito Avenue. Now, this evaluation must be very site-specific, and we can only use these where there are no conflicts with existing underground facilities. Basically, the area under the ground should not have any conduits or any obstructions where we could install these. So then in areas where there are no underground utilities in conflict, we do have green infrastructure. And green infrastructure will be a requirement for any of the road reconstruction options that we choose. And it is also a requirement that is mandated by the California Resource Water Board. This means that we are required to treat the stormwater through one or more available systems. And most of these systems are installed in the roadway or in the roadway shoulders. So not only do they provide benefit of treatment, but they also act as storage to recharge the groundwater, and they do help with ponding during storms. Another available system would be a bioswale that is installed in the shoulder area, similar to what was pointed out in the previous slide, I think slide 27, which was a rock swale French drain. So these would be installed above ground and throughout the project and would remove existing parking and some shoulder areas. Our preference is to install the underground systems. However, it may not always be the case based on utility conflicts that are underground. And all these systems are intended to treat small storms and should not be expected to fix all major drainage within the area. However, installing one or more of these systems will help convey the water to an area where we can treat and then store it properly. And based on our experiences having valley gutters and a combination of green infrastructure, it will help convey water and help water infiltrate into the ground over time. And so as part of the project, the sanitary sewer system will be replaced. And the replacement of the sanitary sewer will be one of the first major work on this project. And after the sewer system is replaced, we will work on the roadway itself. Now, the project funding for this work is somewhat limited in what we can pay for. The county is using a combination of SB1 and roadway mitigation funds for this work. And these funds can only pay for the roadway reconstruction, valley gutters, and minor concrete work. Unfortunately, we cannot use these funds for landscaping, shoulder, and driveway work beyond the required project limits. And so if you are planning to have your sewer lateral replaced, I highly suggest that this is done as soon as possible and before the project is completed. The North Fair Oaks Sewer Maintenance District is the district for this area, and per the policy, it is the property owner's responsibility to maintain and repair the sanitary sewer lateral from the house to the sewer main. So if this project is constructed, there will be a 2-year moratorium in place, and no utility work will be approved unless it is considered an emergency. And so we have identified several stakeholders on this project, including utilities like Cal Water and PG&E and the Fair Oaks Sewer Maintenance District. And the county certainly prefers major utility work to be completed in advance of our project so that we can get the best outcome for the roadway. And we will be proactive in working with these stakeholders during the design of this project. And we plan to coordinate work with these utilities in advance of our projects. Now, on to the proposed process and timeline. We are currently working on the property owners' feedback through surveys. And again, they are due by January 26th, so please talk to your neighbors and submit them by Friday, January 26th. And in early February, we will review these survey results and determine if there is a project standard to be used. We will then work on the design with the goal of completing it by spring of 2024. And once the design is completed, we will advertise and bid the project in early summer, with construction starting in summer/fall of this year. So I would like to add that the schedule can be impacted by several items, including coordination with stakeholders or impacts due to weather. So depending on this winter and the storms we get, the county may have to prioritize certain emergency projects as a result of the storms, and that could be an impact to the project. And I'll also like to add that I suggest, let me restart. So I'd like to suggest that we check the project website for the most current timeline for this project, because that will be the best source for information in terms of project timeline and where we are at. And so we have reached the end of the presentation. Thank you very much for your time. As a reminder, this presentation and Zoom meeting can be found at the project website. So we will now open this up for questions and comments. And please use the raise hand feature if you like to speak. And if your hand is raised, your name will be called. And if you are joining by phone, please press *9 to raise your hand.
Okay. We have somebody that's been waiting a long time, Alyssa.
Okay. Alicia, you may,
Alicia.
Hello, thank you for hosting this meeting. I'm at 413 8th Avenue, and we have a giant permanent puddle on our end of the street for about 6 months out of the year. Is it possible for us to be considered for the subsurface drainage option?
Okay, I mean, we can certainly take a look at it. the location of the subsurface drainage, will vary. In order for us to install it, the area underground has to be vacant of any utilities. But we'll certainly take a look at that outside your area. And you said you're at 418?
413 8th Avenue.
413, okay.
And should I email the email addresses and write it on my survey as well, so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle?
Sure,
Okay, thank you.
sure.
And is
Okay,
there any option I should vote for, option 4 or 5, that would be better for drainage?
I mean, based on our experience, 4 or 5 would be the better of the two, as the valley gutters do convey the water, and it will take the water off the streets, and then it will lessen the ponding on the roadway.
Okay, thank you.
But certainly talk to your neighbors,
Mhm.
and then submit the survey.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Our next question is from Kelly.
Okay, Kelly, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you.
Good evening.
Oh, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Carter, thank you so much for this presentation, and Alex and Wincy and John and Anne. We are so excited on 8th Avenue. It's been raining all day, and it basically looks like there's swimming pools in front of everyone's house. So we are all very excited for this work. I have a lot of questions, and I'll ask and I'll let others raise their hand, but I'll start with my first, which is, I was a little confused and a little surprised that if a homeowner doesn't respond, the county is assigning them a vote, which is option 1, and making an assumption for them. That to me feels not appropriate. And I'm curious if there's any way we can reconsider that. There are some rentals on this street. This street has evolved, and I know many of the homeowners. I'm on the North Fair Oaks Community Council. But I feel like that is assigning a vote where somebody just didn't respond. It should just not count.
Right. I mean, definitely, reach out to the homeowners, because they're the ones that our vote will count. Get them to submit the surveys. But I do believe that if we don't get a vote, then it does default to that option.
Is that the same process you've used with other streets?
This is for North Fair Oaks.
Yes, that's yeah. We have a
go ahead,
standard
Wendy.
process, so it's used for all the streets.
Yeah, and this is Chris, if I can just add too. I mean, it is, this is our standard process for all of our road reconstruction survey projects. It's, based on what we found in our files during the development. It's common practice and kind of various decision making, and based on the principle of default or status quo. And the rationale behind this approach is rooted in the idea that if individuals do not actively express a preference for change, it's assumed that they are content with the existing state of affairs. Historically, though, as you saw in the presentation, of the 22 surveys we've done to date, only one small segment has voted the no or maintain as is option. Generally in the North Fair Oaks area, we get a pretty good response rate, and there's always a road standard that is selected. So to Carter's point, we definitely encourage you to get the vote out. Ideally, if we get 100% return, it's clear exactly what the community wants.
Thank you so much. I have more questions, but I'm also going to allow you to take others, and you can call me after others.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Next is Jimmy's iPad.
Okay. Go ahead, Jimmy. You can unmute yourself.
Good evening. team. Happy New Year. One quick questions. So about 6 years ago, when we moved into a house here on 16th Avenue, we did a lot of work for our sewage pipe. Our plumber actually connected to the public sewage. However, I think there was an existing issue that the previous owner was having a major backflow problem. So, and we thought that after we fix our, problem here, and we shouldn't have that problem, occurred anymore. Unfortunately, that problem still exists. And my question is, by doing all this reconstruction work on the road, and I guess you guys are going to do some sewage work, is it going to fix that problem? Is there any chances we're going to fix that problem? Because we talked to the contractor, they were telling me that, hey, it's not their problem. They did what they have to do because we got a permit to do that. And they were saying that because the county, I guess, that issue with the pipe. So that was the reason why I was kind of like, oh, maybe I should ask the question today.
Okay, not sure what the problem is, but for
So
our,
every time we flush the toilet, if we do it like maybe 4 or 5 times in a different day, the toilet paper would build up, and then I think by the time get to a point that the whole pipe got filled with water and toilet paper, it would backflow up to my I guess my toilet. So we kind of like it flooded to my toilet one time. So that was the reason why I'm asking the questions.
okay, well, I can tell you how we're going to do the work. Our contractor will replace the sanitary sewer main line and then reconnect your lateral to the main line. I'm not sure if that's going to help the situation, but I would certainly maybe check in with your contractor again and maybe have your line TV'd to see if there's any obstruction. But in terms of the county's work, when we replace the main line, we will also reconnect you to your lateral.
Right. So when you guys are doing the point of connection, right, at your part on your side, so your contractor, whoever doing the job, are they gonna, make sure the slope, everything is properly connect, or they just gonna, replace the pipe and that's it?
It'll be depending on the situation. I mean, might be a combination of both. If the lateral is deteriorated at the connection, we'll rebuild that connection, connect it back to the main line. But if it's a slope issue, then that's something that maybe the county and maybe the homeowner will have to work out during construction. But typically, the homeowner is responsible for the connection from the home to about
But the thing is,
the clean out.
But the question is, when we send in the drawing and permit to get the county approved, the city approved, they're okay with that. But because it's a two-part of work, right? One is our side of work, we have to get our contractor to do it, and then because we are doing the work, so we have to do a point connection. Like you said, maybe there's a chance, my contractor did a good job. Maybe, I'm not saying they didn't, but they followed the plan. So, but it's because that situation, when we purchased the house over here, the previous owner mentioned about this problem before, because they were trying to do the same thing. They have the same problem. So, and then they consulted with the county or the city. They said, "Oh,
Jimmy,
yes."
we're gonna need to move on. We replace up to 5 feet from the sewer main. If you'd like, we can get you in contact with our sewer district, and then they can kind of talk through some of the options that you have on this issue. So
Right.
we'll, if you can put your contact information in the chat, we'll make sure somebody from our sewer district reaches out.
Okay. Our next question is from Brooks.
Thanks very much, Carter. Thanks for your presentation this evening, and thanks to Christoph and Anne for attending, as well as everybody from Public Works, John, Alex, and Wency. I've got what might be a basic question. I'm asking about the definition of a block. We live on the cul-de-sac end of 16th Avenue between Fair Oaks and obviously the end of the cul-de-sac. Is that considered a block, or is the entire length of 16th considered a block? I'm a little unclear on that. I wanted to get a sense so I know how our results are going to be measured.
Okay, Wency, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a block is from intersection to intersection, or at
Right,
least
and-
from the county boundary to one intersection.
Right, and or to the end if it's a cul-de-sac.
Okay, so our block then would be from Fair Oaks Lane to the end of the cul-de-sac, those
Correct.
12, 14 houses, something like that.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
That's great. That was my question. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Our next question is from Ingrid.
Great, thank you so much. So I went ahead and typed in my question just so people could follow along, and I know I already emailed this to Wency and John. My question has to do with the calculation of street improvements. So if we get the 50% response from homeowners, and then we look at those responses, and a hypothetical 2% of those voters want no gutters, 49% want 2-foot gutters, and 49% want 3-foot gutters. So nobody reached the 50%, but clearly showing that 98% of the people want gutters. Why is the default band? Why is the default the band rather than tabulating it so that if it clearly shows neighbors want gutters, how can you tabulate it so that that outcome ends up happening rather than no gutters, which is clearly not what the residents chose?
Right. So with this one, it defaults to option 3. This was part of the policies when it was first put together. So I think that's something that maybe we can take a look at one more time and see if there's any room for adjustments. But our policy that was established back in 2002, it does call for the default to be option 3 if we do not get a 50% vote. So again, I really stress on the importance of speaking to all your neighbors, letting them know, what each option will do, and then speak about them, and then that way we can all, come to a unanimous vote, one way or the other, where it's over 50%.
All right. Am I still on?
You
Yes,
are.
you're still on.
I did go around my neighborhood on December 30th, and then since then, some neighbors have come up to me asking the question, had it been asked differently, would you want gutters, no gutters, and then if gutters won, which size? And from our end, I'm the Fair Oaks to the cul-de-sac end side. Of the 20 houses on our side, 9 people, at least 9 homeowners, have confirmed that they'd want the option for 2-foot gutters, with other choices happening. So maybe people could write in the comment how we can get together both sides of 16th to come to a consensus, so this doesn't end up, if those of us mostly want gutters, that we don't end up with a ban just because of this tabulation system. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Our next question is from Sandra.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
We can hear you,
Okay.
Sandra.
Yes.
I'm kind of reiterating what Ingrid has said. She and I have both been talking, and a lot of people in our neighborhood are working to get a gutter choice that will help the water flow, because it has been, I've been here almost 30 years, and we've seen it growing increasingly worse over the years, especially with the rains that we've had. And I agree, I'd like to see us find a way, if we don't get a 50% majority for any of the options that will help the flow, which would really be 4 or 5, but we have a majority of totality for 4 and 5 combined, that we try to find a way to have a selection that will improve the roads, not something that's a default that won't do an improvement. And I know the 6-inch ban might do something, but it's definitely not going to make enough improvement for our neighborhood. I know that there are others that are working, and I actually see some of an out of area homeowner who's on the call, and I've actually reached out to a couple of homeowners that don't live here but are renting their houses, and which, you know, is a concern because we do have a number of renters on our street. But I would love to see the ability for us to find, if we have a majority of that combined 4 and 5, that we find a way to default maybe to the 4 rather than defaulting to 3 or nothing. So, and I will say thank you so much for doing this call tonight. I really appreciate the time. I know it's after hours for all you staff, so very much appreciated. And we're really hoping that we'll get our streets updated. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next question is from Home. Hello, Home. Please unmute yourself if you.
Hi, I'm home, really, Alan Wong.
Okay.
I'm on the corner of 16th and Fair Oaks. I have a quick question. The pink whiskers, that's going to show the maximum, including the gutters?
Correct. It will
Correct.
be the outside edge of your 3-foot wide valley gutter.
And so if it's only 2-foot wide gutters, it would be a foot in from the pink?
Correct.
Correct, okay. Second question, you mentioned that the lateral sewer connections are from the main sewer line to the house. I was understanding that it was to the clean out that's at the edge of the property.
So if you do have a clean out, the county will connect a portion between the sewer line and the sewer main to the clean out, but only up to about 5 feet.
Yeah, but I think that the county has a clean out right at the property lines. At least they have it on my property.
Okay.
So I can chime in. It's the property owner is responsible from the home to the connection at the main. The entire line is your responsibility. And then typically we call an upper and lower lateral. So the upper lateral is from your home to the clean out. And then if you have a district standard clean out, our district provides courtesy service for you. But the entire lateral is your responsibility. And like Carter said, we do up to 5 feet from the main line connections when we replace projects. For impacts on the options, one thing we do want to mention is there is a need for formwork on the valley gutters. So we're going to need another 12 to 18 or 6 to 12 inches on the outside of the valley gutters for formwork to install the valley gutters. So the temporary impact will be about another foot. And then when the project's all said and done, the overall footprint of the road will be at that whisker.
A quick comment about the laterals on the sewer. You're putting one side of the street at a disadvantage because they have to go over the main gutter to get to they have a longer reach to their side of the property.
It would be going under the gutter from the other side.
Yeah, but it's longer, and usually the cost for these things, this is a considerable cost for, I think, for some homeowners to put in the lateral line. And I think it goes by foot or something, how far they have to go. So I thought the people in the community should be aware that on one side of the street, no matter what is on top of it, the sewer thing is going to have an impact financially on them.
Okay. Do you have any more questions?
Not me, I'm fine.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Our next question is from Bonnie S. Bonnie? Bonnie? You need to unmute yourself. I think she decided not to.
She dropped. Okay.
Okay. Our next question is from Kelly. Kelly?
Hi, thanks again. I have a couple of questions. One real quick one. When you shared the timeline, it wasn't clear whether 8th Avenue or 16th Avenue will go at the same time or one will go first.
You want me to
Generally,
answer that? I think it'll be the contractor will make his own decision. We really can't control how the contractor wants to do his work, but they'll probably have one phase. There's many phases in this project, so it'll probably be one phase and then one crew, or they may have two crews at both sites.
Got it. Thank you. And speaking from the
In
8th
2024.
in 2024, yes.
Yes.
That is this year. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yes, that's right.
That's right. It's shocking. Another question I have is, I know that at least on 8th Avenue, I can't speak for what happened on 16th. There were some, and I know I emailed you all about this, some traffic markers. 8th Avenue is a thoroughfare, and I'm just curious when and if we are going to see that data. This is a speedway to begin with as a street. We have the traffic from the strip malls doing back and forth. A mailbox just got knocked into and torn down last week from somebody doing a 3-point turn, and people already go at enormous speeds. My big fear is, and I'm curious what the data that you collected says, is that this already feels like not the safest street in terms of speed. And if we make it smoother and bigger, we are inviting even faster speeds.
So we contacted our traffic department. They said they are looking into it because a complaint was filed by a resident or property owner, and they're taking the data and evaluating it. The best way is to contact the traffic section directly. So go ahead and send us an email or put it in the chat. We will put it, send us an email and we'll send you the contact in the traffic division. Or you could just send if you want to put your email in the chat, we can also do that. So whichever way you prefer.
Great. And so it sounds like the traffic division will handle any kind of speed, stop sign, and other safety issues.
Right. Anything related to that is handled by our traffic division.
Do you have any more questions? Because we're at 7:30 right now, and the Zoom program might shut down at 7:30.
Can you turn to Margaret Mullaney? She has her hand up.
I'm going to go in order as they came in. Our next question is from Meredith. Hello, Meredith. Please unmute.
Hi, this is Meredith.
Hello.
Hi. I'm on 16th, and I just have a quick question, which is, maybe you said this, but I missed it. Once the work is started, about how long will it take to be completed?
I think we're still working through the number of working days. But kind of rough number, maybe 2 months. 2 to 3 months.
Yeah,
it would be 3 to 4 since we're doing 2 streets. So it could, and then it could be longer depending on because we're doing sewer as well. So so we do appreciate property owners' patience when we start the project, because we realize it will be an inconvenience, but we just have to work. We will work with the property owners to make sure that we'll provide access.
Okay. Do you have any more questions?
Just to add on to that, so I'm just wondering, in the 3 or 4 months, for those of us who have like dogs or kids who are sensitive to noise, is it going to be like 3 to 4 months of loud noise, or it's going to be intermittent, or what do you think?
I want to say it's going to be intermittent. Like for example, when we do the sanitary sewer work, we'll be working from one end of the block to the other end. And as we work through that area, we'll be going past your house, and then we won't be there, indefinitely. And then when we come in and do the roadway work, there will be some noise when we have to remove the AC layer and then reconstruct. And again, the same thing is like the construction train will be moving from one block to the other end of the block, so it won't be in front of your house directly. So, in long answer is it's intermittent, but there will be some noise.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Sure.
Okay. Our next question is from Bonnie S. And I have a question for all the property owners out there listening. The last time I painted the road was in October, and I'm just wondering if you can still see the roads. Hello, Bonnie.
Hi, something happened the last time. I guess I tried to unmute and then I got thrown off. My apologies. Anyway, so I just have a quick question, because I understand that options 4 and 5 seem to be the normal way that people are heading. But my question is, option 3 has been used on a number of streets. Is it effective? Does it do what it's supposed to? Does it get rid of the ponding and the potholes? Or are you getting complaints?
I would say for potholes, if the road is reconstructed, that will take care of the potholes. In terms of ponding, I mean, definitely the 2-foot wide or 3-foot wide valley gutters will help alleviate some of the water from the roadways and then convey them down the block so that it's not all concentrating on the sides of the road. And also we will be introducing green infrastructure in certain spots. And so the goal is to, once we put in the green infrastructure, it will slowly percolate and infiltrate into the ground, and you will have less ponding on the area.
So are you saying that they're effective, or I'm trying to figure out?
We're not getting any complaints that I know of, but we probably are, because we get complaints for everything. There's a road that we just did the concrete gutter. It's in Cena, and on one side from Middlefield to Oak is the 6-inch band, and from Oak to End is the valley gutter. And since it's raining tonight, if you have a chance, go by tomorrow and you can see the problem with the band is that we're not grading much to it. It's going to be what your native grade is. But when we do the valley gutter, we can grade the surrounding area to the valley gutter.
I see. Okay. Yeah. I went today and I looked over there because it had been raining, and I didn't see problems on either end of that road, either the gutter or the 6-inch band. So I was just wondering if it's effective. It's less intrusive. So I was just curious.
It is what it is. Any more questions?
This is Ann Stillman, and I guess what I wanted to just say when I think about the different options is that the bands, the bands with the road, you get a reconstructed road that's smoother. The bands help to, hold the edges of the pavements in place, because if you ever see sort of pavement ravels, and also then you're relying more on the areas outside of the bands to convey drainage. But it also provides areas where water can infiltrate. So, I mean, when you say, is it effective? The question is, well, for what purpose? You get is a newly reconstructed road with concrete bands, but I feel like you're more relying on the shoulder areas outside of the bands for the conveyance of stormwater, and also the opportunity for infiltration of stormwater. When you look at the other options, 4 and 5 with valley gutter, it's a system where you're sort of more formalizing where the water is to get to and travel along, will be the valley gutters.
Okay. We'll be moving
Thank you, Ann.
on to Margaret. Sorry for making you wait so long. Margaret, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you.
since we have limited time, and since we obviously need a consensus on the gutters, I would like to propose that we go with option 4, the 2-foot gutters. And if there's any reaction to that, you can put your thumb up. But that seems to be what folks are wanting to do, and perhaps we could just let our neighbors know.
We respect everybody's privacy, so when their thumb comes up, it's gonna say their name. So I would hope that people just vote.
Put your physical thumb up, and we won't see it.
Please vote.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, John?
No, I don't see any, but there's a bunch in the chat. And the problem with the chat is a lot of people, there's a lot of thumbs up on them. And so I'm not sure if they're okay or they figured out the answer or not. We have one more from Kelly.
Okay.
Hello, Kelly.
Hi, the one question, Alicia just asked this, my neighbor down the street, if I'm assuming, but this is a great question, if the vote for 8th Avenue and 16th Avenue are separate?
Yes.
Okay, great. Also,
It's also block by block. So like Fair Oaks from end of or from Middlefield to Oak is one block. From Oak to Edison is another block, and same with 16th Avenue.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And one question that I had, you mentioned, I loved those photos of the underground sewage and storage for water drainage. Given that they're doing all of that underground work, is it possible to move PG&E and other utilities underground?
No, generally we don't ask them to move. Yeah. We work around them. Basically, we find an area where there's no utilities install those underground storage facilities, because it would be very difficult to ask each utilities to move. So it's much easier if when we design around them, and that's historically been what we've done, is to design around them.
Got it. I know there's a big movement to get things underground, given what happened with all of the storms and the power outages last year and beyond. Is there any cooperation? I know what is happening on Middlefield with that reconstruction, and when they come and shave down their poles, then everything's underground. Well, everything is underground, but they just have to shave their poles. But is there a world where you invite them, considering you're opening up pavement and all of this street to go underground?
So I can respond. So we've met with PG&E a few months ago on their undergrounding process. They have several programs available through the Rule 20 program that they offer. Unfortunately, that's going away. What we heard from PG&E is they're making a concerted effort to underground wires, but they're focusing in high fire danger areas. So they're looking kind of Northern California, East Bay areas where there's a lot of high fire risk. And that's really what they're going to be concentrating on for the next probably 5 to 10 years. We don't have an ability to, they won't entertain basically talks to do undergrounding on these types of projects because they're so stretched thin with all of their other undergrounding efforts, is I guess the answer.
Got it. Thank you for that. I'm sorry, that just, it's like a tall ask, I suppose. And another question is there going to be another opportunity for neighbors to weigh in after the votes are in? Will renderings be shared?
So the presentation already includes each of the options rendering. What other rendering are you referring to?
I mean, the answer is no. This is the meeting that we're going to have, and the votes are due on the 26th. Once we get the votes, we'll do our calculations and then post the results on our website. So the website's going to be your best source of information moving forward, but we don't typically do subsequent meetings to discuss the results of the vote.
Okay, any more questions, Kelly? Because we have somebody in the waiting.
No, thank you for
Okay.
indulging.
Okay. Sorry to cut you off. Carolyn? Carolyn? Hello, Carolyn? Carolyn, unmute yourself.
So while we wait for that, I just noticed there's a comment in the chat about experience with concrete and trees. This is from Catherine. And I think that's part of what Carter demonstrated when he walked through the presentation, is that when there are trees in sort of in alignment or in the way of, let's just say, any improvements that would be constructed, we work really hard to not impact the trees. So one of the graphics he showed how if a valley gutter, one of the valley gutter options were selected, how we would have to warp or move the valley gutter out and around the tree to minimize impact to the tree. We also have areas where we require the contractor to use extra care in terms of the way they're excavating when they're needed near a tree to minimize impact to the root system. And also we have requirements in terms of the size of roots that they can cut, and also leverage the knowledge of arborists ahead of time to assess the health of the trees. And during construction we'll utilize an arborist as well to weigh in when we're working near a tree. So I'm gonna try one more time for Carolyn.
Yeah. Hello, Carolyn. Hello, Carolyn. Carolyn. Carolyn, you can also, if you see the web page and if you see the presentation, you can also send us an email with your question if you're having any problems. Okay, so I'm going to lower your hand. Any other questions?
I just see there's a question in the chat about if the county has to remove a tree, do they place a new tree? I mean, our goal would be not to have to remove trees. And my recollection from the past, one of our projects, a lot of the trees were placed in that area with FOBA, the Fair Oaks Beautification Association, and especially trees and the plantings and chicanes and whatnot. So on one of our projects, we did have to take out some trees because they're sitting right on top of a sewer line, never a good place for a tree. And really reached out to FOBA in terms of replacing trees. I don't think FOBA moved to replace trees, but our goal really is not to impact the trees. If it's not a very healthy tree, it's dying, that's slightly different, but we're really not in the business of trying to take out trees. We're trying to work with the trees and the environment.
Okay. We have one last question from John. Hello, John. Hello, John.
Hi, good evening. This is actually Nancy Hasey, not John Hasey.
Okay.
But I just have a quick question again about the notification process. On this meeting tonight, we did have one friend that's out of state that owns one of the properties on 16th Avenue where we live. I want to know what reasonable effort the county makes to contact the actual owners of the properties, because we have quite a few rentals on our street. And I am concerned that they're not getting notified of this voting process. I know our friend was not notified at her out-of-state home address. So is the process just to get the mailer in the mailbox and the renter is responsible to forward that on? How does that work?
The process is to mail the surveys to the property owner on record in the assessor's database. So, if there's a property owner that we're sending them to the property owner. So in your particular situation, if, the person that has their mailing address, listed with the assessor's office to be an out-of-state mailing address, those are the addresses we use. Yeah, because I want to underscore that. I'm hearing a lot of people saying we have renters and tenants. We're reaching out to property owners because, you know, we look at it as the property owners are the ones that are, you know, sort of invested in the area and working with us to make decisions about what they want to see for their particular area. So those are the folks that would be receiving the notifications. If your friend didn't receive something, please share the, you know, the information, the link and whatnot, but that is how we notified people, the property owners.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay. We don't have any questions, but we do have some in the chat, and I think Ann may have answered them all. We can end this meeting if you'd like. Unless anybody have a question, please raise your hand.
I mean, we have the contact information on the screen as well. If you feel like your question wasn't answered or we didn't address it, please give us an email at the addresses listed there, or you can give us a call and ask for one of the individuals as well. But yeah, I move to adjourn.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Thank you,
All right.
everyone, for attending our meeting.
Thank you. Have a
And
good
please
evening.
vote, please vote. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.